Good afternoon. My name is Arnau Pons, and I work at NATO Light Command Transformation in Norfolk, Virginia. And I'm leading a team that is developing AI applications for information and knowledge management, assisted decision-making, and so on. As you see on the bottom, here I'm saying an innovation journey in artificial intelligence. And this is because this is an approved for public release presentation. I should talk about an odyssey of actual developing of AI. So we begin with a problem that is common across all industries, all sectors, defense or otherwise. You receive every day too much information. You don't have time to process all of this information. And when you're trying to find something that it's really interesting for you, you can't. And the amount of million hours a year that we're losing on this is just staggering. Just increasing, like giving tools to people that can make that connecting the dots of information faster would just save us so much money or just allow us to do a lot more with less. So here's a little bit the journey that we have undergone in NATO Allied Command Transformation in Norfolk. So we started with this project called AI FELIX. So AI FELIX stands for Artificial Intelligence Front-End Learning Information Execution. But we just found an acronym that was nice and fit with the name FELIX, because there was a person, the person doing YN1 Felix Williams, it was a sailor from the US Navy that every day at Allied Command Transformation, he would receive emails, direct correspondence, official correspondence from NATO, from all the NATO enterprise. And he would have an Outlook, he would download the PDFs or documents, and he would have to upload that into a document management system based on SharePoint. He would have to copy-paste the metadata. Here's the title, here's the security classification, here's the reference number, here's the topics, here's the keywords. And as we all know, people would rather die 1,000 deaths than putting metadata into information. So what we did is, instead of having the human in the loop, having the human on the loop. So we won an internal competition called Innovation Idea in ACT. We got kind of a seed funding to do a project. And we started with this minimum viable product called the Command Read Board. So essentially, this Command Read Board is a web application that has an AI engine behind and is constantly checking these mailboxes. And it's downloading the documents and it's reading with NLP algorithms, reading the documents and extracting the metadata. And so essentially, we compared humans doing the manual process versus using our AI tool, and we reduced 80% the processing time. So now all of a sudden, these people that were doing 10 hours a day this job, they would just do it much faster because normal information would get to me as a staff officer 1 or 2 days after it had arrived to the command. So now it would arrive to me the same day. And it's, the previous presenter made a really good point. It's not about replacing people. It's about augmenting people and getting people to do added value stuff. So once we had this first application, what happened is, well, COVID, right? COVID happened, and then of course, everyone had reduced manning. So our colleagues in Allied Command Operations in Mons in Belgium, they had reduced manning. They sent a lot of people home, but they still had to do the same work of processing the incoming correspondence. So we deployed our system to them, and then we deployed to other commands in Ramstein, in Germany, in Izmir, Turkey, and also in JFC in Norfolk. And so what we saw quickly is that if you think about AI FELIX as a bunch of Lego blocks, you have a Lego block that reads the title of a document, a Lego block that extracts the reference number. So if you rearrange those Lego blocks, you can apply it to other applications. For instance, our next application was tasking portfolio management. In NATO, we have a tasking workflow tool that is horrendous. It's really bad. It's really bad. But we applied AI to it because the exam question that we had is, can we predict what are the odds that we will be late in a task? Can we see, based on the past performance of all departments, based on the data that we have, whether we will be able to deliver this task on time or whether we will have to go begging NATO HQ, please give us more time. And so you can see that this kind of agile development and spiral development, it's what has been taking us into this journey. And then the next thing we did is what we call knowledge women. It's essentially, it's kind of a Netflix of documents. It's your digital assistant that is helping you find the needle in the haystack. And so we are also increasing number of users over time. And then we go into the exploitation. One of the critical things, and that's very difficult in a government organization, is how can you transition a prototype, an MVP, into a full-blown capability? There's a capability program in NATO from start to delivery, 5-6 years. So that means that you're writing the requirements on year one. By the time you deliver, with the advancement of technology, you're delivering an obsolete capability. So our procurement processes are not really up to the task of how can we adapt to AI. So essentially what we did is, with these 3 applications that we developed, we just piggybacked on a capability program so that the company that is delivering that will use all our AI and just expand that to about 15,000 users. And then we're going to remain here into the classified AI, right, in doing experimentation with AI at the classified level. So we have some new applications. I'm going to talk to you about one in a second. Franchises, which is essentially we own the code, meaning that we can give it to other departments in NATO so that they can use it for their own applications. And of course, national adoptions. In NATO, we work for the nations. We serve the nations, meaning that we're already talking with a few nations that are interested in applying the technology that we've developed. So here's in a nutshell the applications that we have. The command read board, again, it's for managing the incoming correspondence. That's official correspondence. We have this auto-tagging of metadata. We predict whether there are tasks in documents. That's the critical aspect. And then, of course, automate the whole uploading to our document management system and so on. This is our longest running one since 2019. And the first prototype that we did, it took us about 6 months. And then we moved on to tasking portfolio management, which is, again, the critical aspect. Can we really predict if with our resources, can we deliver on time our tasks? So we do near real-time analysis of our tasking. Then knowledge women, again, rather than forcing, and that's something that happens in government, rather than forcing people, now all of you will use my tool, what we do is we go to your tools to find that information. We just have kind of a spider that has many webs and many legs, and it's connecting to all these data sources and having a one-stop shop for information from documents, job descriptions, courses, and so on. And you have a daily recommendation, kind of a daily digest of documents tailored to you. So if you're working on cyber documents, this is scanning about thousands of documents across NATO and just having this tailored fit for you. You have kind of a like and dislike button, so you are really telling dynamically the system how you feel about those preferences. And then finally, I'm going to talk about this AIDA, hopefully we get a better name, AI Digital Assistant, and FELIX Chat, which is essentially a combination of using generative AI, so large language models, like ChatGPT, so to speak, doing semantic analysis and deep search. And then we're trying to connect the dots of information. So the mission that we're trying to achieve here, so SACTI is our Supreme Allied Command Transformation. We believe that innovation is the critical way in which NATO can remain at the edge of military instrument of power. So essentially, we are now undergoing a huge effort on digital transformation in NATO, and artificial intelligence is critical. It's a critical effort for this. And one of the ways in which we're doing this is we talk about the NATO knowledge universe. How can we tap into this NATO knowledge universe, connect the information, synthesizing vast amounts of information, and getting the right answers and fostering collaboration. So here's the product vision of what we call AIDA and FELIX Chat. So on the left, what we have is a digital assistant. So for users, what this means is if I am working on a new program on cyber and I'm new to NATO, it's like, okay, can you write me requirements for cyber? So I just type, and I just try to find requirements from cyber. So that means that we are training a large language model with all our millions of documents in NATO across different security classifications, which brings us to very interesting policy discussions. So if you have unclassified documents and you generate an answer from that, is that document still unclassified? Or maybe not, because you're aggregating data. So we're really trying to answer some of those questions. Then connecting the dots of information. So we have semantic analysis with paragraph-to-paragraph comparison, so that if I type a paragraph, I'm typing a paragraph for a document, it's going to go search thousands of documents, find the paragraphs within those documents, and bring them to my attention. It's going to give me a similarity analysis, and it's going to make a map of how my paragraph of my document is connecting to other documents and the children and grandchildren. So essentially, we are removing all this burden from people, which is trying to find the right references. Because in NATO, we work a little bit kind of in case law, right? You're working on something because someone told you, but the someone was told at the same time by someone else, right? I am working on this cyber project because I've been told by the military committee, but the military committee was told by the North Atlantic Council. And there's a high-level strategy, and then a specific strategy, and so on and so forth. And we have to link all of those and avoid contradictions. And then, of course, we have it's already running, our LLM model, and we are about to start training it with NATO documents. But the critical aspect for us is that point over there. We are very afraid of, for obvious reasons, about AI hallucinations, and we are all aware of this. But if we want our users to trust the system, we need references for the answers to the prompts. So if I'm asking about cyber requirements, I want to see references from previous NATO programs on cyber so that I can really go check those, like, oh, this is legit. I can use this answer. Or if I'm writing a new policy for NATO, I can show that I have the references and therefore I can trust this answer. That's absolutely critical for us. And so one of the things that, again, we are really very excited to see the innovation that's going on the AI sector. So please keep all innovating. We're going to keep using open source and keep using all this innovation. It gives us more transparency and access to the code. And the thing is, we are using this code on our classified network. So obviously, we cannot connect to outside sources, but we can play with it for this. We are spiraling out this product. By the end of the year, we hope to have a few thousand users. And then when I talk about remaining at the edge, I'm not talking about the technology. I'm talking about using those technologies in the government sector, in the classified defense sector. And for us, it's, of course, we're a democracy. So it's very important that we do this securely and responsibly. That's one of the concerns that the nations have. So it's very important that we can track how the AI is generating those answers, what are the references from those answers, how is this linked, and so on. And of course, informing the policy conversation. Some people are trying to regulate AI right now, but that's very difficult if you do this in the abstract. If you have people actually doing it, so where is AI FELIX going? So when we started in 2019, we never imagined that we would be talking about generative AI, large language models. And we're not even trying to predict what our next steps will be. We're just continuously adapting and evolving. This year, with the whole hype of ChatGPT, no one told me, or my team, start using generative AI and large language models. We started using it, and we got our leadership, full backing, support. They told us, what do you need to keep pushing the boundaries? One of the things we want to do next year is doing task prediction. In NATO, we have cycles from a NATO summit. Whatever happens in a NATO summit has been decided months in advance. There's the teams of Sherpas that have been working. There's committees that have been working on all the agenda items. Now, if we can tap on all those information, we can predict what the task will be 6 months or 9 months in advance. So that can allow us to better prepare our resources. Again, we want to scale It's great that you do your prototype, but you need to impact people and benefit. And some franchise opportunities, for instance, single source of truth, while respecting need to know. Archiving, we have massive data sets in NATO that need archiving, and of course, distribution of information, real quick. And this is the last one. So again, the critical question that we have is, are we leading or trailing in AI? And of course, our answer here in NATO is we have an amazing ecosystem of innovation in our nations, in our industry. Keep innovating. We're going to keep reaping your benefits from that. The tech is easy. It's not the technology that keeps us awake. It's the organization. That's the hard part. The procurement is not well adapted, so we need to improve it. And again, that's a strategic decision at the government level. Do we spend more money, just throw bodies at the problem? Or do we start investing in an AI-enabled workforce who can develop applications to help us do that? Information knowledge management should not be the afterthought after the afterthought. That's very important. You need to have policies in place to really leverage that and then be able to mine it with big data. Start small, aim big, value for the user. And then this critical too, failure as an option. We need to be able to fail and accept partial progress. Many times users are unreasonable. Oh, it doesn't meet 100% my requirements. So I'm going to go back to my Excel spreadsheet, right? So we have to know about that. And of course, we're all mavericks here doing AI, and thank you for your attention.